Happy Monday. It's freaking July already. We got a 3-game slate. Let's talk some baseball. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back in to another episode for Just a Bet Outside. I am your host, Steven, and we are here with a new week and a new month to talk some baseball. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Before we get into all the stuff that we got to go over, just a quick few announcements on the channel. First, thank you to everyone for the support when I was over on the Kyle Kerms live MLB show on Friday. That was pretty cool to see a lot of your comments on the live chat and also on the video, just being a part of the Jabo community, Jabo crew. That was awesome. So I appreciate all those comments. And speaking of that, when we dug into all those games, we're going to do the same here because we only got a 3-game slate today. So I am going to go in detail over the 3 games and give you any leans or bets or whatever I have for you. So just want to let you guys know on that, just to kind of change it up a little bit today because, like I said, it's such a small slate. We are getting this video out much earlier, just works with our schedule a little bit better. So, but as for the bets recap, well, it ended our losing streak by not putting the bets recap up. I'm still keeping track. We went on a historic, and I mean historic, 0-11 run. It was an 11-game losing streak. I've never had that in a betting losing streak ever. And I know, hold the applause, by the way. Thank you. It's just as hard to go 0-11 as it is 11-0. So just remember that. But anyway, so we're going to keep that negativity out, but I'm still keeping track. And over the weekend, it was a ho-hum. It was much better than the week, that's for sure. But it was not up to par. We lost under a unit on Friday because I had some really small bets. Saturday broke even because of my stupid self adding the Seattle Mariners money line on Saturday night when we would have just had a 2-1 winning night. And then Sunday we lost a half unit, lost that no home run parlay. If you followed that, we'll do more of those this year. But anyway, so it was a small losing weekend, but we got to get back on the winning track. It is just driving me crazy. So we got a lot to get into. And even though it's only 3 games, we're going to still talk a lot of baseball. But my last little quick announcement, the WNBA. Some of you guys have been asking. I am going to get back and focus on some WNBA and get some bets out and all that kind of stuff. I've been following it, but I haven't had as much time. I've been pretty busy with the family, and my number one focus when I only have a little bit of time is MLB. But I plan on getting back to that this week sometime. So just want to let you guys know that's all my rambling. I appreciate it. Before we get into all the research help and the 3 games, I got a baseball fun fact. So here we go. It is a trivia question, and I'll answer it at the end of the video again. So here we go. Who was the first ever player to have their number retired? The first ever player to have their number retired. So I'll let you know at the end. Let's see if you guys know it without cheating, of course. In this video, we're going to go over the good and bad hitter. Actually, sorry, there is no bad hitter matchups today, but we're going to go over the good hitter matchups. And then we're going to go over good pitcher strikeout matchups, the pitcher report, all 3 games of it, and then I'm going to preview in detail all 3 games, give you any leans or sides and things that I'm thinking. We're doing this early, so there's not a lot of lines out right now, and then we'll end it with the hitter parlay ideas, of course. So hit that like button, leave a comment below, and if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We are on our way to 26,000 subscribers as we are getting closer and closer to coming up on 2 years with this channel. It's just, time is flying by, but it's been a ton of fun. So thank you guys for listening to the long intro and all the rambling, but let's get into it, and it starts with the good hitter matchups. All right, we got 4 good matchups for you today because there's only 3 games, but it's all in the same game. Senzel 4-for-9 versus Peterson, Vargas 4-for-9, and then Meneses versus Peterson is 3-for-8 with 2 extra base hits. But then we end it with the Met, Jeff McNeil, the lefty. How about 6-for-7? Now, McNeil's not having a great season, but he has hit Mackenzie Gore very well. So those are the only good hitter matchups we have for you. There are no good, no terrible hitters, so I didn't want to include any. But now let's talk some arms. All right, as you can tell, we have no great pitcher strikeout matchups, only 3. But I will tell you about the 2 high strikeout pitchers, so you have the info. Mackenzie Gore, the lefty, going up against the Mets. Gore, 99 Ks in 85 innings this season. Mets, though, have the 7th lowest K rate versus lefties. And as you will find out later, the Mets are just crushing lefties as well, but only 18.7%. That's why they're not included or involved with the good pitcher strikeout matchups. And then the righty, downtown Hunter Brown for the Houston Astros going up against the Blue Jays. Brown, 89 Ks in 80.1 innings. Toronto, though, has the 10th lowest K percentage versus righties in June at 20.2%. So just some info I wanted to give you to kind of help you out, but that's all we got. So let's talk the pitcher report. All right, here it is. It is tiny today. July 1st, 3 matchups. We're going to talk about in detail each of these games, but there's all the numbers for you. Hunter Brown versus Yariel Rodriguez. As you can see, Rodriguez only pitched 16.2 innings, not a lot. Hunter Brown has just been lights out lately. That's just all there is to it. He struggled to start the year, and now he's a lot different. And then we got lefty David Peterson against lefty Mackenzie Gore. Battle of the Southpaws. As you can see, Peterson is due for some negative regression. He's only thrown 27 innings this year, does not miss a lot of bats, and has a little bit of a walk issue, that's for sure. And then Bryce Wilson versus Austin Gomber. Guys, these are 3 elite matchups. I mean, my goodness. But Austin Gomber in Colorado, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But 2 guys that don't miss a lot of bats at all. They give out an okay amount of hits. I mean, these are just okay. You know, the best pitcher on the slate here lately is probably Hunter Brown. Overall, probably Mackenzie Gore. But anyways, that's the pitcher report we have for you for July 1st. And now it's time to talk Game 1. All right, before we get into that first game, just a quick reminder, Outlier, click that link below in the description and get that 7-day free trial. It's an incredible app. I know some of you guys already use it, but my goodness, it can give you so much stats and info, save you a ton of time, a one-stop shop for all your research help. I love it, so go check it out right now. But this first game takes us out to Canada, where the Toronto Blue Jays host the Houston Astros. Astros moneyline minus 148, Blue Jays on the moneyline plus 124 with a total of 8.5 runs. Okay, so let's break this game down now. Let's talk the spot first, because the Astros are in a tough spot here, guys. As we're recording this, that's right, this is how early we're doing it. The Astros are in the 11th inning. They went to the ninth inning against the Mets and had a long rain delay. And last time I checked, right before recording, they're now in the 11th inning. This is a brutal spot for them. Let's just face it. But the Astros in the last 12 before this game yesterday, because I don't know what happened yet, they are 9-3 in their last 12. And here's a wild stat. In the last 19 Astros wins, every single one of those has been by 2 or more runs. That's just absolutely crazy to me. So if you think they win, you might as well bet them minus 1.5. But Jays staying at home after splitting a 4-game series versus the Yankees. Jays are heading the opposite direction. They are 3-9 in their last 12. 9 of the last 12 games for the Jays have been decided by 2 or more runs, whether they win by 2 or lose by 2. But let's talk the starting pitchers now. We got Hunter Brown versus the righty Yariel Rodriguez. Hunter Brown, he has not been as good on the road, but some of that is skewed by early season pitching and him struggling. But he has a 5.87 ERA on the road, 3.44 at home. No real splits versus righties or lefties, but he has been absolutely just electric lately. 0 or 1 earned run in 4 straight starts. He has a 1.16 ERA in June. Now, the opponents he faced, the Rockies, the White Sox, the Tigers, and the Angels. Obviously not very good teams. But the Astros have won his last 4 starts and all by 3 or more runs. So they are playing well when he is on the mound. And the Jays obviously aren't that much better than these other 4 teams I just mentioned. And then the righty Yariel Rodriguez. You may not know a bunch about him because he hasn't pitched a lot, but he was built up to about 79 pitches over 6 rehab starts in AAA. And then his first start back, he struggled versus Cleveland, giving up 4 earned runs in only 1.1 innings. And then his last start, he threw 1 inning and it got a rain delay. It was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. If you know rain's coming, why? Anyways, that's a whole nother. I didn't even have any losses because of it, but it was a game against Boston. It was bizarre. But he's only thrown 16.2 innings, 17 Ks, and 11 walks. That is not so pretty. But he's kind of a wild card in this game, which is kind of what makes it hard to handicap. But offenses, Astros versus the righties, they've been unbelievable lately. 6th WRC plus, 8th in ISO power, 9th in on-base percentage overall. And then on the road, though, they're a little bit worse. 17th WRC plus on the road in June. So they go from 6th to 17th. That's weighted runs created, overall way of telling how good your offense is at creating runs. And then the Jays versus righties in June, 17th WRC plus, 22nd ISO power, 15th on base percentage, obviously worse than the Astros. But they do have the 10th lowest K rate. Both these teams do not strike out like we talked about. So Astros much hotter offense lately. Now the Astros, it's hard to say about their bullpens. Let's talk that real quick. Yesterday, or as the game's going on, I've already seen Abreu pitch, King pitch, Martinez's pitch. Presley was pitching, and then I think he got rain delayed. I don't know who's been pitching the last inning or two because the game is going on right now. But their bullpen's going to be a little bit taxed, especially when you have this extra inning game. Blue Jays, they used 5 relievers yesterday because Gausman only went 4.1 innings. Francis, Pearson, Cabrera, and Green were the main ones used, but it's a tough spot for the Astros, honestly. That's just what it comes down to. If you're someone who likes to bet just spot and scheduling and all that kind of stuff, this is a tough one for Houston. Obviously, they are the better team, but like I said, I don't have a best bet yet right now, but if I had to go some leans in my gut, and I don't have a lot of props out and everything, but Astros team total under 2.5 in the first 5 innings, I think they could come out, a little bit sluggish. The only worry there is Yariel Rodriguez. What if he comes out walking guys left and right? That's just kind of a lean. Or you could go under 4.5 runs in the first 5 innings of this game. Also another lean. So I kind of lean a little bit towards the underside. But props wise, I'm not really sure on props at the moment. There's not a ton out and not a lot I like, to be honest. But if you want to just know who's on fire, Vlad and Springer are both hitting 500 the last 7 days. Kiner Falefa is hitting 417 the last 7 days, and Justin Turner 350. So just some options there. But any best bets, of course, will be in the pinned comments and X and on Discord. So be sure to check that out. But we are doing this early, so not a lot to pick from yet. So, anyways, that's game one between the Astros and the Blue Jays. And now on to game two. All right, this second one takes us out to the nation's capital where the Nationals host the New York Mets. Mets on the money line minus 112, Nats on the money line minus 108 with a total of 8.5 runs. Interesting line here, but now let's talk the spot. Just like the Astros, the Mets are playing those Astros. This is a terrible spot for them as well. They just waited out a rain delay. They're now in the 11th inning, like we talked about, and now have to travel to Washington, D.C. But unlike the other game, the Nats are also traveling home from Tampa last night. A slight advantage for the Nationals, obviously, in that spot. But starting pitcher matchup, we got two lefties, David Peterson versus Mackenzie Gore. Peterson is a negative regression guy, 3.67 ERA, but he has a 5.36 xFIP and 5.36 expected ERA and a 4.76 xFIP. Only a 9.7% swinging strike rate. That's in the 21st percentile. He's not missing many bats. He's made 5 starts this season so far, and one of those was against the Nationals in Washington, D.C. already. He went 6.2 innings, gave up 5 hits and 2 earned runs, and only had 2 strikeouts. He was on a pitch count then, so just keep that in mind. He's now back up to 100 pitches. But the lefty, Mackenzie Gore, the ace of this staff, he's coming off 2 rough outings back-to-back, 5 earned runs to the Padres, 4 to the Diamondbacks. He faced the Mets 5 starts ago, so he's already seen him also. He gave up 7 hits and 6 earned runs and only had 2 strikeouts. It just was not a good start for him. And it's really a splits if you go home and away. His home, 3.7 ERA at home, 3.31 on the road. Not a big deal. But what is a little surprising is he struggles versus lefties. Mackenzie Gore does. He is giving up a 300 average, 299 to be exact, 455 slugging. And then when you say he's at home against lefties, he's giving up a ridiculous 366 average and 512 slugging to lefties. So just something to keep in mind. And then offenses, we already know Mets are just scorching hot. Team total over is cash probably for a week or 2 straight now. In June versus lefties, they're number 1 by far. 100 WRC plus is average. They have 181. The next closest is 158. They're just lights out. They're hitting 331 as a team. Number 1 on base percentage, 588 slugging, number 1 by far. They're averaging over 7 runs per game in the last 6. I mean, it's just been unbelievable. And overall, I mean, you got all those guys, Alvarez and Lindor, Nimmo, all these guys. They've just been really hitting the ball well. Nats offenses versus lefty in June. 27th WRC plus, 24th slugging, 27th in on-base percentage. They are obviously a bottom 10 offense versus lefties. Now, bullpens, Nats pretty rested. Only Weems and Rainey threw yesterday. Those are not 2 of their top arms in the bullpen. Mets, as last time I saw, they had Hauser throw, and then they had a rain delay. I have not seen who they have thrown the last couple innings. For the most part, I don't think unless that game goes 15, 16 innings, I think their bullpen's going to be decent as well. But some props to consider, maybe Francisco Lindor and Brandon Nimmo for hit parlays over 1.5 HRRs. Lindo, I don't know who Lindo is. Lindor hitting 300 versus lefties this year, and Nimmo is also hitting better versus lefties. And then, like we already mentioned, Mackenzie Gore is struggling against lefties himself. And then now, any leans, again, I'm not going to give out any bets probably on this video. It'll all be in the pinned comments. I'm just here to give you info and any leans and ideas I have for the game. And by the way, the bets might go out in the pinned comments like before I go to bed. It's just that we're doing this pretty early. But a lean is the Mets team total over 3.5 if you can still get it. I'd probably play it up to minus 140. But my worry here is I just don't love the spot. And with the Mets and the Astros, you don't know who they're going to rest. So if you are going to do one of these, I might want to see the lineup come out because they're traveling and they just played an extra inning game. So they may sit some starters. So that's what worries me a little bit. But obviously, if you just go by the numbers, they've been number 1 by far against lefties. So JD Martinez, another guy I didn't mention, they've all been really solid. So another one, maybe over 8.5 runs in the game. As you saw earlier, some Nats hitters have had some success off of David Peterson. He's not a very good pitcher. So the Mets could do some of the heavy lifting, but it's really just a tough spot overall to predict, in my opinion. But those are just some leans and all the details for that game. So now it's time for the final game. All right, before we get to that final game, it's time for the KALSHI trade of the day, baby. That's right. And just a reminder, click that link below in the description and go join. It is federally regulated in all 50 states. It is a ton of fun. And if you're one of the first 500 people to sign up, you get a $20 bonus credit. So let's go up to the top here. Here's what we're going to pick. We're going to go culture and pick movies today. That's right. And then over there on the right, Despicable Me 4. It's so fluffy. It's a great movie, guys. If you're a parent, you get it. But we're going to trade on the Rotten Tomatoes score of the Despicable Me 4 coming out. And we're going to go, I mean, 30 cents is a little bit of an underdog, but we're going to go above 65. It's got to be better than that. There's no way it's going to be that terrible, is it? So we're going to go up there and place a little bet for $5, and we're going to just try to win some money and just have some fun. That's what this is to me. I mean, these are some fun things to just follow and trade along with. And so click that link below. But now it's time to get back to the games. All right, the final game takes us out to Coors Field where the Rockies host the Milwaukee Brewers. Brewers money line minus 166. Rockies on the money line plus 140 with a total of 11.5 runs. So let's talk the spot and schedule real quick. Brewers just your standard travels here, going to Coors Field after playing at home last night. And the Brewer Crew have won 6 of their last 7 now, but the Rockies are not in the best of spots. They are traveling back home from Chicago after playing a 14-inning game. That's right. They used a lot of arms and everything, but so I'd say advantage Brewers on that one. But starting pitcher matchup, Bryce Wilson versus Austin Gomber. Wilson, he has struggled on the road. My goodness, 5.31 ERA at home or on the road compared to 2.16 at home. And he struggles versus lefties too. If you want to look at lefty props, giving up a 280 average, 504 slugging compared to a 195 average, and only a 305 slugging to righty. So quite a big difference there. But he has been all over the place lately. He's a tough one to get a grasp on what you're going to get. Last 4 starts, 0 earned runs versus the Rangers, 5 versus the Padres, 0 versus the Reds, and 7 versus the Detroit AAA Tigers. Now, those 2 games where he gave up 5 and 7 runs, of course, were on the road because that's where he struggles. He has a very low K rate, as you already saw, 59 Ks in 74 innings. His only start in Coors Field was in 2022, so that doesn't really mean much to me. But Austin Gomber, he has actually been better at home. He has a 3.57 ERA at Coors Field compared to a 5.44 ERA on the road. It does sound a little strange because usually you're going to have the higher ERA in the elevation, but 6 of his last 7 starts have been on the road. So we haven't had a big sample size on his home starts lately. This will be only his 2nd home start since May 10th, which is just crazy. Righties have done a little bit better off him this season, which isn't surprising, him being a lefty. But he has been getting crushed lately. But I will say this, it has been against tough competition. 5 earned runs to the Astros, 4 to the Dodgers, 8 to the Twins, who were on fire against lefties. St. Louis Cardinals, he gave up 4 and 3 again to the Dodgers. So this one is not going to be an easy matchup, but it's going to be easier, that's for sure. Because offenses in June, Brewers, if there's a time where you want to fade the Brewers a little bit, it would probably be lefties. I'm not saying to fade them here, but they are 25th in WRC+, 18th in on-base percentage, and dead last in slugging versus lefties in June. 8 straight lefty starters against the Brewers have held them to 3 or less runs. Now, this is Austin Gomber, and it's in Colorado, so obviously a little different situation. Rockies against righties, 27th in WRC+, 24th on base percentage, and 18th in slugging in the month of June. Mostly better numbers at home, but I mean, that's not really a surprise. It's Coors Field. So some props. And by the way, my hitter parlay ideas, I'm just throwing those in with the game. We're not going to have a whole screen for that. But Ryan McMahon over props, maybe 1+ hit. As I mentioned, Bryce Wilson struggling versus lefties. And Ryan McMahon has 1+ hit in 11 of his last 15 games. And then Elias Diaz, 1+ hit. Also not a bad option. He is actually hitting 305 versus righties, and he's hitting 311 at home. So that's just a play on him more. But bets and leans, like I said, all my bets are going to be in the pinned comments on X and on Discord. This is a tough one. I want to take the Brewers. Brewers minus 1.5 would be my spot here because it's going to be around even money. They are the road team, which is something you like, obviously, as a minus 1.5. But it's just a bad spot for the Rockies. And Austin Gomber, I think, is due to get crushed at home here. The problem I have is the Brewers don't hit lefties as well, and Bryce Wilson can also get hit around a little bit. So it's kind of one of those catch-22s. With Wilson not pitching here for a couple of years, it's kind of hard to know. This is a different environment, atmosphere in Coors Field. So that's just a lean right now. If I had to lean away, maybe Brewers minus 1.5, or maybe under 6.5 runs in the first 5 is an option. Rockies bullpen's awful. If you're going to take an under, you don't want to do it full game. I don't trust them at all. But, it could take a little while for these offenses to wake up, especially the Rockies after a 14-inning game. I don't know. That's just a lean to kind of talk through it with you guys. But yeah, that's what I got for that game and all three games, and the research helped for you. Like I said, the good hitter parlay ideas, they were just sprinkled throughout the when I went over all these games. So leave a comment below. Let me know if you guys like this in detailed explanation of games. I think it's just fun to talk ball, to be honest with you. But before we get out of here, of course, we got to talk the answer to that trivia question. The first player ever to have their jersey retired is Lou Gehrig in 1939. You are now smarter. That's right. That's all there is to it. But thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it every single day, even during cold stretches, hot stretches. It doesn't matter. We're a community. I appreciate all the support. But hope everyone has a great Monday, and we'll talk to you soon.